and causing a load of chaos. And when I went to pause the video to go and tell them to get in, I knocked the video off by accident, and I don't know how to join them together or anything like that. I'm not that way inclined. So what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, at the moment, this is your energy, the energy that's between you and their energy, and this is like the outcome or where it's heading. So at the moment, we have this Five of Swords, and this is talking about animosity. There is definite animosity between you. There may be a bit of the blame game going on. There may be a bit of arguments falling out. However, I get the impression from the energies that yous are in that yous are not acknowledging this. So it's almost like yous are possibly putting on a air or a show of you're not interested in what they're doing. You don't deal with it anymore. It's not your business anymore. You're not interested. And there's this energy that's going about there. However, for the energy for the pair of yous that's pulling yous together is this definite feeling of animosity. There's this feeling, and as I say, it may be blame game. Somebody may have done something worse or bad to one person and be the person that actually created the trouble. However, the pair of yous are feeling kind of defeated in the situation. So whether they instigated it, whether they are the ones that created the situation, they also feel like they've lost out. They also feel like they've lost out. So it's like nobody's really taken ownership of the situation. It's more so just feeling like they've been kind of had over or hard done by in some way. So I don't know who is the instigator of the situation that's going on between you at the moment. Obviously there's somebody that started something off, and they're just not owning it. So whether that was you, whether that was them, whoever it was, they're just not owning it. And we see this in the energies actually that you're in, that you've got your back to the situation, so you're almost like kind of defiantly like, I'm not interested anymore, despite the fact that you're still feeling animosity about it. So you are still kind of in the energy, you're just giving the air that you're not in the energy. And they are in this universe energy, so they're trying to close a cycle out. They're wanting to close the cycle out. However, they've not completely stepped through yet. They're kind of teetering on the edge of a new cycle, so they may actually be at a point where they're wanting to close it out. But there's this hesitation. There's a hesitation where they don't really want to, maybe, or maybe because there's a draw there. There's a definite pull there. However, what I'm not seeing on here is any kind of emotional cards, anything to do with emotions, really. And I feel like it could have been emotional. It could have been very emotional to start with, but I feel like it got to a point where it was just bitter and it was just arguments and it was tit for tat. Perhaps what it feels like to me is it's one of those situations where every single thing that you loved about a person, every single thing that drawn you in and everything that you loved about them is the thing that's ended up that you end up despising about them. And it's that kind of energy, so that might be why there's no cups on the board just yet. So let's take a look at your energy. We've got the Page of Pentacles for you. So this may be speaking about that you're wanting to start something new or wanting to go and build something new somewhere else. You may have plans or actions. This may be plans that perhaps when you were with this person you couldn't put into place, or there was some kind of barrier to you being able to pursue your dreams or something like that. And now that this has come to a pass, you are now free to kind of chase down these things. So you're here and and you may have been learning something. You may have actually been putting time and effort into learning something, and now that you've learned it, it's now time to take everything that you've learned and put it out there and take steps to, because being a pentacle card, it's almost like in order to achieve anything with what you've learned, or in order to create anything, we have to follow the steps guided to put it into practice, to manifest it into the being. So there's that energy for you there. So what else is around this Page of Pentacles, please? So we have the Two of Swords. We have the Six of Pentacles. Oops. We have the Judgment and the Five of Cups. So So there's this definite feeling of being at an impasse. There's this feeling of, I don't know whether they're the one that wronged you or what happened in the situation, but there's this feeling of that you're not prepared. You're not going to be the one that's going to apologise for anything. You're not the one that's going to offer or go forth with anything. So it's kind of, the stalemate situation has come about because you feel it's not your responsibility to fix or mend a situation that you didn't create, or that you might have had part in. You've obviously had some kind of part in, but you weren't the instigator of it, you weren't the creator of it. So there's this unwillingness to deal with it, and this is probably why they're feeling like, oh, well, they're not, and they may be waiting actually for you to come towards them. They may be waiting and waiting and waiting for you to come towards them. They may want to have it out with you. They may, it may have just gone to the place where it is, sorry, one sec. It may have just got to a place where it was just kind of combative all the time. And the fact that they're not stepping through into something new tells me that maybe they kind of got quite comfortable with the combativeness of it, because any press is good press. Do you know what I mean? Even bad press is good press. It's press. Do you know what I mean? It's attention. So there may be an element of that to it there. But you're not budging. You're not budging, but you're still thinking about it. You ain't given an inch, but you're still thinking about it. And this may be because it's you that's probably putting all this effort in before. You may be the one who kind of carried the connection, carried the relationship. And I say carried it, not that you were paying out or that you were taking on this and that, but it may be you that was just pouring in all the effort and energy into the connection to make it work. You were the one that was trying to balance it out and make it stable, and you're just not giving an inch on it now. It's almost like it's like oh, it's like finally waking up, especially with this Judgment card here, finally waking up to the fact that you may have been playing into something and playing into it by way of you maybe keeping a connection alive with somebody, and it's you, even though it's broke apart, it may still be you that's been feeding into it and kind of keeping the energies, good or bad, together. So you may have still been continuing to feed into it, and it's almost waking up to the reality that you don't have to do this anymore, because they created this situation. This is their problem. And I feel like you were trying. I feel like there is a need and a want here to move yourself beyond the situation. 1 minute. Sorry, my dogs was going nuts. So there's this feeling. It's almost like you're waking up to how it has been, to the dynamics, shall we say, in the connection. It's almost like you're waking up to it, and it's I will say it's not like you desire to not be involved. I mean, you do. It's a weird one, because you kind of do. But at the same time, it's more like this has just been detrimental to your health and you can't partake in it anymore. It's a realization that you actually have no more to give in a situation. You have no more to offer and nothing else to put out there, because you've put it all out there, and it's like it was never enough. It was never enough. Whatever you were doing, you may have been the one that was like kind of sorting out dates, arranging for you to be together and doing all this, and they just couldn't be arsed. That's the energy that I'm getting from it. They just couldn't be arsed. And there is this sense of regret here. There is this sense of mourning the past. So there is this element that we still feel, whether we show it or not, whether it's coming across as anger, upset or aggression, or point scoring in a situation, we still feel. But it may be time to just like now realize the situation, wake up to the reality of the situation, that you were the one that was always given and it became expected of you, and you've got nothing more to give. You've got nothing more to give. So it's almost like, even though we're really sad and really upset and mourning the situation, we know it's time to let it go. That said, that doesn't mean you want to let it go. So it's a really strange energy to be in. It's one of them where you just know something's bad for you. You know something's bad for you, and you know you can't be dealing with it or doing with it anymore. But you don't really want to. There's still something there. So we take a look at their energy with the universe. Let's see what's going on for them. So we have the Four of Swords. So again, this idea of there's an action to be taken. There's an action to be taken, but we're just sitting on it at the minute. We're just sitting on it. There's been chaos with the Three of Swords. There's been chaos, and now we're at the Four of Swords. We've retreated to some degree from it. We've retreated, and then we have to take our sword and get back into life. Get back out there. Get back into the new day, the new way of being with the Universe card here. But they're not really in a hurry to do so either. And it may be a case of, even though the only real emotions card here is this one of like a hurt. I mean, this person is all up in their head. All up in their head. And the fact that the figure on this card is looking towards this direction tells me it's them that's done some sneaky shit. They've done something that they know. They know they've put themselves in this situation. They know, whether they're admitting it or whether they're just continuing to battle it out and act like the victim in the situation, they know that they are the ones that have created the situation. They know there's something that they've done that they shouldn't have done. They know it. I don't know. You may know it too. You may actually know it too. But they're not 100% convinced that you know what you think you know. They think they may, or there's more to it than what you know. There's more to it than what you know, or they think you just don't know as much as you do know. And that may be because you've not been feeding it. You may know everything that's gone on in the situation, but not be feeding it back to them. So they're just getting that angry and all of this, but they're probably sat there thinking, well, if she knew or if he knew, they would flip. They would flip. It'd be all out chaos. And you've flipped. You've probably been angry, kicked off and stuff like that, argued. But it's almost like they've not had the explosion that they were expecting or that they would be waiting for or anticipating. And they think they've got away with something, but I don't think they have. Anything else for this person? Four of Pentacles, again, sitting on it, not wanting to... not wanting. They're all up in their head. They're all up in their head. They may be concerned about... they may be out of pocket as well. Maybe they lived with you. Maybe you put them out of your house and they've got nowhere to stay and they're feeling it financially at the moment. But I feel like this is more so... This is like a clinging... Because there's this unwillingness, unwantingness to move on from a situation. I feel like bad press is good press. Any press is good press. And I feel like this clinging, this possessiveness may be towards you. I feel like everything is facing this way apart from this one. Everything is facing towards your side. And it's almost like I feel like this possessiveness, and this might be towards you. It's like they also want to move on. They're being pushed and encouraged to move on by the universe, but they don't want to either. They don't want to either. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's a very toxic energy around this. Toxic by way of... it's almost like... It's almost like if it was to come back together, if you were to come back together with this person, unless you're prepared to do the work and acknowledge the bullshit that you bring individually and the bullshit that you bring together, and work out how you're going to stop certain things, and this isn't going to happen, this isn't going to happen anymore, we call it quits on this, you know. And unless you can actually do that and mean it and know that they mean it and that you're going to move forward from a situation, I feel like it's got to a point where there's this aggression. It's not even aggression, it's more like animosity. It's anger, animosity. There's this bitterness that is there between yous that it could just fester and keep going and keep going and keep going into something bad if you don't move yourselves out of that situation. And at the moment, I'll be honest with you, neither one of you is wanting to own up to anything. Neither one of you think that. It's almost like you both feel like the other did you dirty, and there's that kind of animosity there. And until people can wake up and acknowledge and accept the roles that they played in a situation, then you can't really get past that. So with this Five of Swords, mutual energy between yous. So that's interesting, isn't it? The Emperor. So for a mutual energy between yous, we've ended up with the Emperor, Death, and the Two of Pentacles. So it's up in the air. It's almost like it's up in the air now. I feel like you're both strong personalities. Maybe in this situation, one of you was more dominant than the other, and it's just not how you are. Maybe you were more submissive to this person in the beginning. Maybe you were more loved up and going through the motions of that, and they've taken that as you being a bit of a pushover in some way. And this is just not who you are. This is just not who you are at all. So when they've ended up taking the piss in some way, and then you've stood your ground on it and you've stood into your masculine energy on it, they've probably not been expecting that, but they likewise are just the same. They too are just the same. And I feel like this ending, it's almost like it needs to happen, especially right now. It needs to happen right now because there's work that you need to do on yourself. There's something that you need to release. You need to release each other and move on from each other to work on yourselves. And that's not necessarily to say that you move away from each other and jump into something with somebody else, because when you do that, you're not doing the work on yourself and you're still the same toxic person that you're moving into each and every relationship with. And that's where you get these like serial bed hoppers where the bed's not even cold with the person that they were with before they're in bed with somebody else, and they just end up creating and causing disruption everywhere that they go. Everywhere that they land, they cause destruction. And it's a pattern, it's a way of being. And if they're not prepared to acknowledge and do work on themselves in them areas, the areas that are causing the problem, then it's always going to be a problem. And this could also be about somebody like, we think of like the juggling aspect. It could actually be about somebody who is that way inclined, where they're warming the beds of other people before they've even split up with people, or while they're having fallouts with someone, they're cozying up to somebody else. So it could be that. There could be this element of juggling there. This might have been a two-way street. You may, one of you may have been doing that, and the other one may have done it in kind of retaliation. But with the Death card, we've also got to remember that there is also the element of the Death card being a rebirth card as well. So there is that chance that this could come back together, as toxic as it seems right now. This could actually come back together. But as I say, you would have to split ways and do the work. And at the moment, as it stands, and for the next few months at least, nobody's prepared to do that. People are just kind of hunkering down and refusing to... it's almost like a self-preservation's going on everywhere, and we're we're not opening up, we're not doing anything, we're kind of covering ourselves and protecting ourselves and putting things in the way of ourselves in our heart space, so that we're not displaying emotions. And as I say, there's not, I mean, what, for one emotion card on the table, there's nothing else really indicating emotion. So at the moment we're highly focused on putting the new things in each other's way, you know, so like dangling the new people in front of each other and stuff like that. It could be something like that, or just kind of keeping yourself extra busy on work so you're not thinking about a situation. So at the moment, this is the energy that you're in, and this is the energy you're going to be in for the next couple of months. There's this need, and you'd have to actively get yourself out of this energy. And this is where I'm saying you'd have to do the work to be able to move forward with it. But otherwise, it feels like if you don't do the work, you don't move. You stay stuck where you are. So if you don't do the work, you don't do the work. So if you don't do the work and you come back together anyway, because you just feel this pull to come back together anyway, you're going to come back together, you're going to be offering immature emotions that you have not dealt with any of the shit, and you're going to come back together, and you will come back together, it will come back together. However, it's not gonna work out how you would hope. So when we think about that like that, it's like how I would hope if I was thinking about getting with someone or getting back with someone. I would hope it would be this way. But if I'm going into it with an attitude of I'm already stressed out about them just being around me, and I don't trust them, and I'm always watching over my shoulder, and they're always watching. If we're in that energy, it's not going to work out. It's just going to come tumbling down. It will come tumbling down again, because it's an oppression. It's an oppressive atmosphere to be in, because you're coming in back into it immaturely, without actually having done the work, just kind of rushing into something on giddy emotions. So say like if you stop speaking for a little bit and you come back together, it's like, oh, so excited to see you again and all this, and then it's giddy and it's dead excitable and everything for about a week, if that, before all the animosity starts rearing its head again, and we start discussing, oh yeah, but no, you did this though, do you not remember that you did it? And that comes back up again. So it will not be successful if you don't take the time apart to invest into yourselves, to rebuild who you are fundamentally, figure out what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, how you can fix what you're doing wrong, and how you can work with yourself and come into balance with yourself. If you're not doing this, if you're both not doing this, then when you come back together, it's not gonna work. It's gonna go to pot. So if you do the work, so if you do the work, you may actually decide that you know, when you've done the work on yourself and you've worked through stuff for yourself, and you come to realise, hang on a minute, I've been putting up with stuff that I shouldn't have been putting up with, and if I'd have stood my ground in situations, then it would have never escalated to the point that it got to. If you know, if you wouldn't have been so you can find yourself just as well as you can be the one that's like really causing problems and overtly doing stuff. You can find yourself in situations where you are just passively letting things happen, like they do something wrong or they do something really disrespectful, and then you're like really angry, explosion of anger for like an hour, a day, 2 days, but then you calm down and then it's okay and it's all forgot about. When we create a situation like that, people come to expect that they can piss us off or they can treat us a certain way, and we will be over it soon. So it's okay to do it because you're not going to hold any boundaries with it. There's going to be no repercussions from it, really. You might be a bit pissed off for a day or two, but then it'd be fine. And people actively, their mind actively goes, oh, okay, so it's over and done with. All right, so if we do it again, it's not going to be that much of a problem, is it? And they go and do such stupid stuff again. And one of the things that we can do, especially if we've creating trauma bonds or we've had any kind of trauma in the past or anything like that, is that we can let people away with things to keep them close. And we let them away with things to keep them close because we don't want to lose the person, but we end up sitting there and letting them treat us like a doormat, and it's not right. It's not on. You may actually decide when you've done the work on yourself that you just don't want to deal with this anymore, and you may actually decide that you don't really want to put the work into it anymore, and you want to move forward into something else. You want to move forward and find your true love. You find your true person, your true connection. If you do come back together and it does, like, you do actually come into something with this person again, you may find that they're just not doing the work. They're not doing the work, they're not putting in the effort, and again, you may be finding yourself in this situation where you're laying yourself down for somebody to walk all over again, and you will eventually want to move away from that. But if you feel it's going in that way, or you feel like it has, or it will go in that way, then you may just, if you've done the work and you've done it right with yourself, you may just back away from that altogether and decide you're just going to leave this behind and go in search of something better and something new. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one there. Okay, thank you.